How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the James Loud Podcast. And today, our special guest is Kyle from Emerald Bay Extracts. How are you doing today?
Fantastic, James. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been quite a year for everybody in this industry. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your perspective on the industry and how you guys have done. And, you know, you have a really special product. You guys are doing something special that's a little bit different from other extract companies. So why don't we start there?
Yeah, so we're Emerald Bay Extracts. We make a strain-specific full-spectrum RSO oil. We make it in the classic syringe style, tablets, tinctures. We've got minor cannabinoids, CBDs, lots of ratios of CBDs. Our biggest product right now is our white CBG product.
Nice.
A lot of people are flocking to it. Obviously, it's one of the newest, greatest cannabinoids to come out, and yeah.
Well, let's start there too. Let's talk about CBG, because I feel like people don't fully understand CBG. And Oregon CBD bred the white CBG, which is a really good cultivar. It's high end CBG. It doesn't have the most amazing smell or terps, you know. But as far as like medical benefit, I love CBG myself. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, CBG. Where to even start with CBG? I mean, the origin is probably my favorite part to start with.
Yeah.
Occurring in the plant before CBD and THC occur. It attacks both CB1 receptors. I shouldn't say attack. It opens up both CB1 receptors. Right. So it really has amazing medical benefits, anti-inflammation, mood balancing. Crohn's patients are using it for its gut health benefits.
Ulcerative colitis and Crohn's.
Yeah.
Autoimmune diseases especially, I feel like benefit a lot from it. And it's non-psychoactive in the sense that it doesn't get you the high that THC does.
Yeah.
But you do feel the effect from it.
Yeah,
you know, I do. I feel the effect from taking it. And even I've taken dabs of it. I've done all kinds of stuff experimenting with it. Yeah. But like you notice it. It's like a strong dose of ibuprofen, more noticeable than CBD.
It is. It is much more noticeable. I think the psychoactive effects and not having it is balanced by the mood balancing effects, right? So it won't necessarily get you stoned, but it will keep you level throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of people are flocking to, especially daytime use when you're at the office, just something to kind of take the edge off, keep you motivated, keep you focused.
Right.
We're doing research right now. We've gotten some preliminary results on it. It is the greatest cannabinoid that we've started researching, or that has been started researching, in my opinion.
Well, it's the precursor to CBD and to THC, right? So through an enzymatic process, it converts into THCA or CBDA.
Correct. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that is being looked at right now is the breakdown of it, how it affects your central nervous system, how it affects memory, focus. I think CBG is one of those cannabinoids that's going to come into the market and stay in the market as something that has medical benefits, but we definitely need to do more research on it. And there's a ton of companies doing research. We're starting to dive into it. It's fascinating, just fascinating.
Yeah, and the potentials are so great for something like CBG, and CBG in combination with other cannabinoids, and the drug discovery side of it is just, you know, that's kind of what excites me the most about the industry is the medical potential.
Yeah, the medical potential. I mean, 1996, we got medical cannabis. We got Prop 215 out of it, and here we are in the adult use market, you know, 30 years later almost.
Yeah.
I think the medical side is getting, I don't want to say overlooked, but I think it's adult use has its place, but we can't forget about the medical patient.
We talk about this on my show all the time.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing is to keep on having these conversations because it is getting overlooked as far as we're now in this era of recreational adult use cannabis. And I think that's great. But a lot of people are treating it like alcohol and tobacco. And it's not alcohol or tobacco. It's a much different drug. It has potential that's beyond our comprehension at times.
Yeah.
And I think that during the medical days, it was so easy. You go to the dispensary, it's like, what's wrong with you? How can we help you? And now it's like, oh, what kind of flavor do you like? How do you want to get high?
Yeah. And we're trying to change that, right? We're trying to educate bud tenders. We're trying to educate the public. Dennis Perone said it famously, every cannabis consumer is a medical patient, whether they think they are or they're not.
Totally.
You know, and we really stand behind that. Whether it's somebody that's trying to take the edge off from the day, or somebody that's been diagnosed with cancer and wants to explore the therapeutic options of cannabis.
Yeah.
I think both aspects are great. I'm happy that we're in this space, but the medical patients need to be focused on its unlimited potential of what we can find with this plant. We're at the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And as we start to develop more research opportunities, getting pre-IND products into clinical trials, we're going to start seeing these therapeutic effects that have benefits. But right now we're in such a limbo with the hemp bill.
It's a scary time for a lot of people. You know, I'm not scared. I'm in genetics, right? So I'm not worried. I'm not trying to sell THCA flower.
Yeah.
I'm creating THCA cultivars. I'm type 1, type 2, type 3 chemotypes, right? Is primarily what I'm working with. I was doing some type 4 stuff, but it just didn't pan out how I wanted it to as far as CBG. But, the Crawfords did that so well. It's like hard to do something on the level that they've done it with the amount of money and effort. And, they got an early start on it. Those guys have stayed ahead of the curve pretty much in the entire industry as far as genetics are concerned.
Yeah. And, you guys in genetics are the ones that are keeping both sides alive, right? You're coming out with new strains, new cultivars. I mean, pheno hunting in a time when everything's gassy, everything's kind of candy-like. And like you said, everyone's looking for a certain terpene profile that they like.
Yeah.
I think there's so much potential within cultivars of differentiating it. I mean, even some of these legacy strains, Blue Dream, Sour Diesel,
right?
These have been here because people enjoyed the terpene profile. They enjoyed the cannabinoid profile of it. Blue Dream doesn't necessarily act like a normal sativa does, right? It kind of puts you in that dreamy, calm state where like a super silver haze will give you that burst of energy, and, in extreme consumption can give you anxiety or agitation. But that's what's fascinating about phenotypes and cultivars is the diversity in the genetics. And I think it's important for people in genetics and just the everyday person to really understand that there's a lot of hard work that goes into creating these strains that people love. And I mean, that's our whole base model is a strain specific RSO, right? Like, yeah. You're not going to go into a dispensary and just the normal person, I guess, cannabis aficionado, if you must, isn't going to go into the dispensary and say, just give me any old indica off the shelf, right? They're going to have a specific chemovar or phenotype that they enjoy, right? And they're going to come in and ask for it. And we thought to ourselves, that's where we want to be with our RSO products, is these trusted strains. I mean, Ice Cream Cake, Blue Dream, there's just some key ones that are always on our menu, and we branch out to other strains. We want people to try them out and find what's right for them. But we've really found Blue Dream and Ice Cream Cake to be a favorite among people. And it's kind of like a no duh, right? I mean, it's been around. Blue Dream's been around long as I can remember, and Ice Cream Cake has shown up and stuck with it. I mean, I feel like you can walk into any dispensary right now and find an Ice Cream Cake on the shelf.
It might be called something else, but in all reality, Ice Cream Cake is extremely popular. Do you guys ever run out of Blue Dream or Ice Cream Cake or the white CBG? Or is that something you pretty much, because I know someone, when they want their medicine, they want that medicine. They don't want the other medicine, especially something that's cultivar specific. They're like, I know Blue Dream works for me this month. I don't want to have to experiment with next month. Is it going to work the same? Especially if you have something like Crohn's or some of these autoimmune diseases that they're really hard to deal with.
Yeah. For the most part, we keep the select strains, white CBG, Blue Dream, Ice Cream Cake on our menu as often as we can. Obviously, it's up to the cultivators of what they want to produce, but our owner, Thomas, has done a really good job of facilitating relationships with growers to keep these coming in. White CBG is our most popular strain, hands down. We're constantly selling out of it. And I get emails, we're out. Okay, when's it going to be back in? When's it going to be back in? And it's 2-3 week gap. But you're right. I mean, having these on hand consistently is important for the patients. And we recognize that.
Really cool. So tell me about the company a little more. When did you guys get established?
Yeah, so we got established 2018 in the 215 market. I came along in 2019. We had a launch with a distributing company that didn't quite work out for us. And the owners, Thomas and Casey, wanted to bring on somebody in-house and launch product to market. And that's where I came in November 2019. And as I started getting going, the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months in with the uncertainty of like, are we going to stay open? Are we going to be considered an essential business to stay open? And luckily we did. And I used that opportunity to just, hit the sales hard and really try to get into as much dispensaries. And we grew from about 15 to 30 dispensaries to 120 within the first year.
Yeah.
And we were sailing through it. And we only had our syringes. But it was just getting into like the Hall flowers, I think it was lemon haze, but they set them up on like Zoom or Google Meet, and you'd go into an individual like chat room with the buyer, and you had an undivided 5 to 10 minutes. And anybody that's done sales in cannabis knows how hard it is to get that time from an inventory manager or a buyer. And I just used it to pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch. And next thing I know, one dispensary would drop, and then 5 dispensaries dropped, and we started growing. And then we brought, on more in-house salespeople. And now, our sales team crushes it. I think they're the best in the business. I truly do believe that. They work harder than anybody I've ever known to be able to maintain these relationships with dispensaries, get us into some of these big players, and keep us in there.
Yeah. And
really, it's been a team effort. Everybody in the company understands that their role is just as important as everybody else's role. Distribution is just as important as sales. Manufacturing and packaging is just as important as distribution. And we all work synergistically. We have 32 people in the company, and we're in almost 500 dispensaries statewide. We're small but mighty. We really try to do things right. And Emerald Bay we have a niche product. We understand that it's a tough road to get people to try our products, to get behind our products. But really, we have a cult following throughout the state. And the cult following has just built and built and built. I'll walk through a park with an Emerald Bay shirt on, and somebody would be like, "Hey, Emerald Bay, love your guys' stuff." Turn around like, "Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for the support." Or you'll go into a dispensary and you're talking with bud tenders, and they're like, this is the only product I take anymore.
Yeah.
It's strong. It's hard hitting. We've got something for everybody. We make 25, 50, 100 milligram tablets. Now these new olive oil based tinctures are becoming a new hit. We just released a CBN product. We listen, right? We understand that as a company, we get a little siloed with certain aspects of the company, but then somebody will reach out to our info line.
Yeah.
Hey, like, here's a suggestion. We take it into serious consideration. The tablets used to be in a little tin, and they were great. They rattled. The only downside was that they rattled in your pocket, and you could hear somebody walking from a mile away when they had the tin.
Right.
Then we graduated to the glass product, the glass packaging, and that was a game changer. And we were worried, maybe the diameter is a little too thick. It's a square box versus a little thin tin. Now you can't even hear the tablet shake. It's better sealed. It's more airtight. The tablets don't go degrading as fast. So that, our customers are our lifeblood. Why shouldn't we listen to the customer?
Right.
When we first created the tablets, we were putting dyes in there, and quickly somebody pointed out, hey, like, these dyes aren't necessarily good. Okay.
Yeah.
Heard. We changed it to naturally occurring dyes with like beets, carrots, blue spirulina.
Wow.
And then we got to the point, why do we even need dyes? The RSO just colors the tablet a beautiful color in itself. Nobody's going to look at the color and want to pop it any more or any less.
Sure.
Somebody just took the dyes out, and now we're just cruising. So when people make suggestions to us, we really listen. And I think that's what sets us apart from other companies that, that I don't want to knock any companies. I do feel like that they listen, but we really take it to heart because
you have a different lane.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone has their own lane in this industry, right? Or you can have your own lane, and you should stay in your lane and know your customers, right? I think that's the biggest thing, is knowing your customers. You guys have a medical product. There's no reason to make it look all pretty, and you don't need this amazing bright packaging because you have a medical product. It should represent the product that's inside. The packaging should represent it on the outside.
I agree. And we really do agree. And we want to, our history, our founders, our husband and wife, Casey came from Stanford Oncology and ICU nurse. And Thomas has been an entrepreneur, starting his own businesses. And they saw a need for clean, affordable, accessible cannabis in the form of RSO for these patients. And that's what got them to start it. And we take that and we run with it. Is our products. Life is expensive. Cannabis shouldn't be either. Obviously, we have to keep the lights on. We got to keep bills paid, keep employees paid. But the price point for 1,000 milligrams is unlike any that you'll find on the market. And it's because we care about the medical patient, right? They have high bills. We get it. Everybody's got high bills these days. To get you feeling better, why not have a decent price on it?
Yeah, and then you can afford to take, like with RSO, you can afford to take the dose that's really effective, because I think a lot of people, it gets expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you're taking a gram a day, for instance, that can be very expensive.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of good sources out there. Some people will make it for you, but sometimes it's better to have something that's consistently made in a lab, that's made, by professionals. Not knocking anybody out there that's making RSO, because I have a lot of respect for those people that are doing it. There's a lot of people that are giving it away, all that good stuff. But the stuff that's made in a lab, if you can get it made by professionals, you're getting a consistent product. You know exactly the milligram that you're getting. I mean, RSO is one of the most important things in our industry as far as for people with cancer and other issues.
Yeah. SB 34 opened a whole new avenue for us in being able to donate RSO to the patients that need it most, the true medical patients, people that need it. I mean, in my position now, I work with a bunch of cancer patients, epilepsy patients, MS patients, and I work very diligently to be able to get them compassion cannabis. Last year, we donated a little over $300,000 worth of RSO to patients in need.
Wow.
We had a 3-year-old cancer patient. Her mom reached out to a dispensary that's unfortunately now closed, but then he reached out to me and was like, hey, we've got this 3-year-old cancer patient. What can we do? I set them up with compassion products. We got them a ton of RSO, and she was up to a gram a day for 60 days. And in that time, she was stage 4 with rhabdomyosarcoma, sitting at Stanford Medical Center, and her parents were about to take her home on palliative care and brought her on to RSO. Marley Jo, which is her name, she's adorable. She went from stage 4 to cancer-free in 4 to 5 months.
Wow.
Using our products in conjunction with her chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not advocating to just take our RSO and like not listen to your doctors or not take chemotherapy. We want people to use it in conjunction to help with nausea, anorexia, with pain management. Marley Jo was 3 years old when she was on her regimen. She just celebrated her 7th birthday in April.
Wow.
I go to her birthday parties. I make sure I stay in touch with the family. We've become really close. She's our success story, and she's full of life now.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing what this plant can do for people if they give it the chance.
Well, and that's my big argument. It's like, especially with kids, how can you say that somebody doesn't deserve to use this on an international scale, not just national, but everywhere? Like, how can you argue that if it could help cure somebody's cancer, right, or be part of a regimen that could, how are you how do you have the right to take that away from a parent who wants to help their kid?
Yeah.
Right. I think cannabis makes the world a better place in so many ways. But as far as medicine, I think medicine like cannabis should be allowed to be implemented everywhere. And the fact is, we're not there 100% in the US. It's still federally illegal. It's crazy in my mind that it's still federally illegal, not for much longer.
Yeah.
I can see it's on the horizon, right?
For sure.
But they're going to reschedule it. I think it should be descheduled, but that's a different conversation. The fact is that we're moving away from Schedule 1 is the most important part.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, there is an argument on every side of whether it should be descheduled or rescheduled. I think the first step is taking it out of Schedule 1.
Yes.
One, relieve some of these tax burdens on some of these folks, right? Schedule 3 will allow for a more accessible medical option for people.
Right.
And you're right. I mean, it should be accessed across the world, if not across the nation, for these patients. And we really want to be at the forefront of that. Mm-hmm. We want to position ourselves into the world, I don't want to say of pharmaceuticals, but in the world of medicine, right? We want to be able to be legitimized as this can help patients out. Be in the doctor's back pocket of, hey, like, I understand you're having nausea, you're having, pain management issues with your cancer, and be able to have this doctor, hey, Emerald Bay Extracts has a great product out there. Go try it out. Maybe they don't necessarily recommend a certain dosage, but just encourage some of these patients to give it a try.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's so important in this day and age when people are having every medication shoved down their throat and people are just getting sicker. They may be getting a little better, but in the meantime, they're staying sick. They're staying nauseated. Obviously, opiates are a huge hot topic. I feel like opiates does more harm than good. I feel like cannabis has been used for thousands of years in medical purposes. And we're at such a point with our medical advancements. Why not integrate this into modern medicine? Why can't we make this accessible for every patient? And I really give kudos to Marley Joe's mom for stepping up and telling the doctors at Stanford, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to start my child on using cannabis to help her through her treatment. And Stanford stepped up and said, yeah, we're open to try that.
Right. Not a lot of doctors. I think more and more, we're getting more doctors that are coming out and going, yeah, there's something to this, right? There's at least giving people options, right? Mm-hmm. If that's your option, you want to try it, it's okay, right? There's some good oncologists out there. There's some bad ones. There's some uninformed ones. And there's every day, it seems like there's a new doctor who's like behind, they're ready to stand behind cannabis and be an advocate.
Yeah. And I think as the new generation of doctors comes out and they're coming into this medical landscape where they're seeing more people consuming cannabis now than ever, and they're seeing, alcohol consumption drop, they're rethinking their stance on cannabis. And if we can be there as an industry to be able to educate these doctors, these nurses, and give them the proper information, because they're not taught it in medical school, which is a shame.
Right.
The ECS was, I don't want to say discovered, but brought to light by Harvard in 1988. And it's a legitimate thing. I mean, the ECS regulates your homeostasis in your body. I mean, it's the balancing effect. In cannabis, with endocannabinoids that are already naturally created, why can't we have these phytocannabinoids that are opening up receptors?
There's cannabinoids in breast milk, like literally.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting thing how we made cannabis the bad guy for so long, and it's the war on drugs. It was mostly around cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
It started around cannabis, unfortunately, and the hippies.
Yeah.
Blame the hippies. But, it's wild how we're coming full circle with this right now, and it's like they've known that it was beneficial. In fact, the government had patents since 1975. Our US government has had patents on cannabis. So they've known that there was potential for it. And it just, it's part of history, and it's unfortunate that so many people have went to prison, so many people have died, and there hasn't been the accessibility that there should have been for those years.
Yeah, I agree. I think people going to jail for the plant is just a tragedy. And now that we're in the adult use market, is why can't we let some of these third strike offenders that, they got caught pushing cannabis 3 times and now they're serving a life sentence, commute those sentences, get them out.
They've commuted some of them.
Yeah.
They've commuted some.
Yeah.
But there's still more. There's still more. There's still more work to be done.
There's a lot of work to be done. And I think it's on the industry, it's on people in the hemp industry too, to start advocating this. And the shaky time in this hemp industry is a good opportunity for everybody that's in this space, whether it's hemp or cannabis, to step up and have our voice heard.
Yeah.
Call your representatives. Let them know your thoughts. Send them whatever material you have on ECS, or maybe it's a research project that you did and you want to show it to them. Their lines are open. Their emails are open. They're going to receive it. Send it to them. Flood their inboxes. Let them know the hemp options are a great option. It allows access for millions of people across the United States. While I think cannabis is, in my personal opinion, the best option, the CBD, CBGs, THCV, that kind of stuff that comes out of the hemp industry is a great option for people that don't have access to dispensaries. But within that, I think we should have a similar regulation, verified COAs.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one of it.
Well, and it's the standardization of testing. That's the biggest problem. And we talk about this on my podcast a lot too. But, I believe there needs to be oversight regarding testing, right? There needs to be consistency. We need to have standards from our government that allow for standardized testing, right?
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference, because you can go in a dispensary knowing you're getting the right milligram that you wanted, right? Or that you needed.
Yeah.
And so those things need to change. That absolutely has to get standardized. Testing needs to get standardized. There's a lot of bad actors in the lab world, companies doing testing and inflating numbers. I'm a big fan of SC Labs. Big shout out SC.
Big shout out SC. That's who we use for our testing.
Right. Same here.
Yeah.
Because they're consistent. I don't want the highest numbers. I want the accurate numbers. And I think that's the most important part. And there's people that have the same belief that I do, that testing is important, like your company.
Yeah.
Right. And I think SC Labs does a great job. They're consistent, and there's some companies that, and I understand it, but the problem is, who loses is the customer, right? At the end of the day, so you have higher results, you're going to be able to sell it to a dispensary. That dispensary is then going to sell it to a customer who's thinking they're getting something with higher results. And the truth of the matter is they're getting an inferior product.
Yeah.
Right. That's if you use a bad lab. Now, if you're using a good lab, you're getting accurate all the way to the customer, because every product that goes on the shelf has to get tested, right? Literally, they're batch testing everything that gets out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we triple test our products.
Yeah.
We test the biomass that comes in. We test it when it gets made into the oil, and then we test it into the final product, because we want the consistency. We want to be able to say that our products are consistent across the board, that what you see on the COA is going to be what you're actually getting. The race to percentages in 2019, 2020, 2021, when everybody was trying to get everything above 30%, that was the biggest disservice that people did to the industry was,
right.
High THC isn't always the best thing, right?
It's not always stronger either.
Yes.
That's the other thing. It's not always stronger. THC it's not linear, that 39% THC. I've seen stuff that's 20% get you higher than 39% THC.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that was 20 was tested at Halent, which, back in the day, Halent was that was the standard.
Yeah.
They were kind of the first. Halent turned into Steep Hill. They merged, right?
Okay.
And so, but they did accurate testing back in the day. Reggie Gaudino, he's been on my show. He was the guy who did the introduction in my book. He wrote the intro.
Wow.
But either way, those guys were on the right track. And then somehow it got money motivated, and people were like, we need to have higher THC numbers because that's how we sell cannabis in the United States, which is totally a BS way. And it's just like the indica sativa hybrid, it's that same thing where it's like, we need to classify this, we need to do it. And they didn't do it in a way that was great for everybody. It was easy to understand, and it wasn't necessarily correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, these are part of the learning curves with any industry, though. I feel like every industry goes through learning curves. We go through ups and downs. We go through consolidations. There's this big consolidation that's happening now.
Yeah.
It's not the first one.
No.
It may not be the last one. Mm-hmm. Things are really tough, but a lot of people are going out of business, and it's terrible. It's terrible that the small guys are going out of business.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for the mom and pop guys, the Emerald Triangle. So many people up there are suffering, and it's just really unfortunate because some of those are the most passionate people out there that have been here from the beginning that now don't have a place in our community. Well, they don't have a place in the legal industry, right? Yeah. They have a place in the community because they'll always be part of the community.
Sure.
But as far as being able to make a living off it legally, they've taken that away from some people because they've been priced out. They couldn't produce their product for cheap enough. There's too much product on the market and they couldn't sell it. And it's a real travesty.
It is. It's sad that these small mom and pop cultivators, these small mom and pop dispensaries, I can't remember the dispensary. I feel bad about it offhand, but the one in Lompoc that we started out with, they were so passionate.
Yeah.
And when Nick had to close that dispensary down, I was there one of the last weeks and I was doing an in-store demo. He came up and he gave me a hug and he said, thanks. Thanks for being one of the real ones here. Thanks for always supporting us. Thanks for helping out Marley Joe. And you could see the pain and his hurt in his eyes that he had to close down his shop. He'd been there since the 215 era. And it was just unfortunate to see it break down like that. And we see it all the time. We buy most of our biomass from small craft farmers. We pay fair market price. We don't lowball anybody. We want to support them because they support us. They give us compassion biomass for free for us to be able to manufacture it and package it and give it out for free to these patients.
Yeah.
Because they believe in it and they believe in what we're doing. And it's such a disservice that these small guys are getting priced out. And I've said it before, I've said it to my team, is like, this is such a young industry. It's what, seven years old now as legitimized legal industry. And we're watching this shift. We're watching these big powerhouse dispensary conglomerates kind of buy up these mom and pop shops to save them, keep them propped up. But the taxes are killing everybody. And I think we've got to find a way here in the industry to regulate those taxes a little bit. California has to step up, and the legislators in Sacramento need to understand that when you buy an eighth off the shelf, unless they're including taxes in the price, you might be buying a $40 eighth, but might be walking out spending $50, $60 just for that. And that hurts patients. It hurts the mom who's just trying to get some tablets to go home and take the edge off. And
they're making less money in taxes because people are going to go to the streets to buy it for cheaper. The thing is if they made less on those taxes, if that tax percentage was lower, right? More people would buy from the dispensaries, and it's almost counterintuitive to a degree. But the truth is like if you had lower taxes, people would be buying more, and they would be able to produce better quality products. You could have more expensive inputs. Now everything's like, man, every penny counts. Mm-hmm. And then, you go through that. That's just kind of normal anyway with business. Once you start getting into real business, every penny counts. But the thing is people start cutting costs, right? And then they start cutting quality because they have to provide something that's cheaper to be competitive on the market. And the part of the reason is taxes. And if we lower those taxes, at least initially, till this market's more stabilized, then they can maintain those taxes. They're going to make a lot more money doing it. And they're also not going to run the small guys out of business.
Yeah. Run the small guys out of business. Like, what good does that do? I mean, life has most of everybody feeling nickeled and dimed right now, and to see the taxes where they are is it's hard to see. It's hard to watch. I mean, I go into dispensaries because look, I've got friends that are in the gray market that grow. I've got friends in the legal market that grow. I will go to the legal market because they have a COA attached to it. I know that COA is tried and true. It's tested. There's no pests. There's no metals in it. I can trust where it comes from.
There should be.
There should be, right? And where we fall short is like this nickel and diming effect of, okay, we've got an excise tax and we have a state tax and we have a local tax. And like suddenly you're walking out with 30-40% taxes before you even know it. And I was just with my brother and he was saying the same thing. He goes, yeah, I like hit up a delivery service and I got my order in and I looked at my bill and he goes, I paid $30 in taxes and I had like an $80 or $90 bill. I was like, that's wild. You know, if we could get a hold of the taxes, and you made a very good point, is if we lower it, we start bringing those people back that have gone out to their friends that grow or out to, you know, buying these packs or whatever they do to get their cannabis. We bring them back into the dispensary of like, okay, here we have these tested products. They're reliable. We're not at a race to the bottom anymore because, you know, a race to the bottom only hurts everybody. Like you said, with loss of quality, loss of, I mean, even the price, right? If you lose a price, it squeezes and it makes margins so tight that these businesses can't operate. But if we take it upon ourselves to get loud inside of these legislators' ears and like we reach out to our representatives and we say, hey, we need like a comprehensive tax system here. I don't see that being an issue because if we're losing people because of these high taxes, we can get them back if we lower the tax and like make more money out of it and everybody profits.
Well, the big problem is, you know, who's lobbying? The people with money. You know who doesn't have money right now is the people with cannabis businesses. Yeah. Right. And so it's really tough to go out there when, you got to pay money to lobby, right? You got to pay money to, someone has to do it. And the people that really need it the most are the people that are struggling with their dispensaries, with their cultivation facilities, with their extract facilities. Those are the ones that are suffering the most. And those are the ones that don't have money to do the lobbying.
Yeah.
So
lobbying's expensive, man. I know a couple of lobbyists in Sacramento lobbying for other industries. And I mean, I've heard some of the numbers being thrown around and it's wild. I mean, this is the cost to do business. And, you know, I've got my own thoughts on lobbying, but it's a necessary evil at this point. Otherwise, you know, it gets choked out or what you're passionate about won't have funding for, and you won't have somebody in the ear of a representative.
Right.
But then, you know, I also think back, like we, the people, like we are still a democratic republic. Mm-hmm. We have the voice at the end of the day. If we get in enough people's ears, like that tax raise to 19%. I mean, we gathered together. I was sending out that petition to everybody that I know to sign it to reverse that tax. And we did it. We got 10,000 signatures. Yeah. We were able to stop that tax hike by just signing a petition. Now think what we could do we had 10,000 signatures. Think of what we could do with 1 million, 200,000, 100,000. If we get into the representatives' ears and we get into the right people's ears and we start doing our own lobbying of just making enough noise, like there's no limit to what we can do. And that's such a beautiful thing about being in the country that we are, right? We have our own problems as a country. That's irregardless of the fact.
Oh, we got problems.
That's
problems. For sure.
Yeah. But like the one thing that we can do is we can still stand up as a people and demand things and get loud. These senators, congressmen, congresswomen, anybody that has a voice within our government, if we could get in their ears and make a point about it, we can start to change. But it all starts at the grassroots level. Yeah. You know, and that's just my thought.
We got here because of people and their stubbornness in our industry, you know, and so they're the same people that need to help make change. It just gets difficult, you know, and some of these people are older and all this stuff, but we need to be tough and we need to be resilient and know that there's something, you know, there's something more for this industry. You know, it's not just for the big business. And unfortunately, right now it's going in that direction, right? This race to the bottom is happening. I would love to see more small businesses pop up. I don't see it happening in California. I see it happening in other emerging markets in other countries. The funny thing about these other countries that are going online now, they have the same energy that we had before legalization, and they're not jaded yet.
Yeah,
a bunch of us are jaded, me included. Like I have my own thoughts about our industry and how it could be improved, and I just it's one step at a time. And we're in one of those phases right now where if you're a small business owner, you may just have to take one foot in front of the other and just wake up and do your best every day. And hopefully you stay in business.
Yeah. And that's what we do at Emerald Bay.
Yeah.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Make sure that you're taking the right steps and you're confident with it. The growth that we've taken and that we've made is because we've been sure of our products. We want to launch new products at the right time. This is something that we see some of these emerging companies come out strong, but they come out too hard, too fast, and they don't have a good product to get behind. But what we did was, okay, we've got our syringes. Yeah. We learned that syringes are hard to dose. It's hard to see what you're doing. We created the tablets. The tablets started out with 10 milligrams. And then we were like, okay, like patients need a stronger milligram, 25. And then patients kept flooding us. Okay, we need 50, we need 100. And now we've got 30 SKUs on our menu at a given time. And there's something for everybody. But it's like you had said earlier, it's staying in our lane, not going outside of what we do best.
Right.
And what we do best is we make, in my opinion, the best RSO on the market. I hear it from people that have taken RSO for 30 years, that our terpene profile, everything hits all the check boxes that we're looking for. So like when we're looking for a new product, we just came out with the CBN tablet. Thomas came to all of us and he had some R&D and he gave us some R&D to try out. We tried out a bunch of different mixtures and ratios, and we finally landed on the 1:1:1, 8.3 milligrams of CBN, 8.3 milligrams of CBD, and 8.3 milligrams of THC. But that's a sweet spot that we all agreed to throughout the company that, hey, this helped me relax, get a restful night's sleep, and not wake up with that brain fog. Because like that is the hardest thing, is when you wake up with a brain fog and maybe you hit your snooze alarm a couple of more times, it's hard to shake off that dust.
Too much tea will do that before you go to bed. And it's funny because like, I'm not I don't like Delta 8 overall.
Sure.
Right. But it's not, you can't blame the molecule. It's the shitty products that are making the molecule and they're making it synthetically in a lab and they're using crap to make it for the most part. But actually Delta 8 is 20% as strong as THC. So it's about a fifth of as strong. And I used to take it for sleep all the time. I'm not taking it right now for sleep. I sleep really good. But when I had sleeping problems, I was taking that. And if I would take the same milligram of THC, I either couldn't sleep or I wouldn't sleep very good and I'd have severe brain fog.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a real thing. The whole brain fog thing with THC, and not everybody has it, but I definitely had really bad brain fog. CBN is great because it balances out and makes you tired.
Yeah. It just, it makes you tired. It makes you just kind of want to ease back. There are stressful days, and when you get home from a stressful day or you finally sit down at the end of the day and you want to relax, CBN is going to be that best one for you.
Yeah.
It's not going to give you the anxiety. It's going to put you in a nice, easy mood. You're going to feel good about yourself. And you wake up, no brain fog. Because, dude, when I have brain fog, it takes me a half a day to recover.
Yeah.
I might be working, but I'm not working at my highest potential.
Yeah.
And that's everything for me. And in this market, I've got to be on it all the time and be, 110% giving it my all and making sure that everything's done right. And if I have brain fog, there goes half a day. And I used to consume a lot more than I do now, but that brain fog is a real thing. And I feel like I hear it more often than not from people of, how do I get rid of this brain fog? I only took a 25 milligram
mushroom coffee, mushroom tea, like mushrooms. I'm a big fan of mushrooms. The cordyceps, the reishi, the turkey tail. I do rise coffee.
Yeah.
So they got shiitakes. There's
lion's
mane in there, and it's a great combination for brain fog. And the funny thing is like I had brain fog issues thinking I was getting old, and then I started using these mushrooms, and now my brain fog is gone. Right.
Really?
So mushrooms in combination with 1:1s is a great way to do it too. THC, CBD, type 2 cultivars, or you can make your own CBD where it's a 1:1.
Yeah.
And I also feel like if you're someone who gets anxiety from THC, a great way to cut that anxiety is by adding CBD to it. It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. Oh man. Adding CBD I mean, if you're a high consumer, adding CBD into your mix
Yeah.
will change your life.
It chills you out.
It chills you out. I mean, I have some friends that just dab all day, every day. And by the end of the day, you can kind of see them and they just look frazzled. And I'm like, hey, man, just take some CBD tincture, help balance yourself out. I think the entourage effect is something that's overlooked too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Is like higher THC content doesn't mean you're going to get higher. I mean, yes, in theory it does.
Yeah.
But when you have the entourage effect of the terpenes, the flavonoids, the cannabinoids, I mean, you have that mixture in there. It works synergistically inside of your endocannabinoid system, and it helps open up that lock and key mechanism a little better and helps you flow through. And I often say it, you know, like our tablets, and I'm not knocking anybody that has, you know, distillate gummies or whatever, but with the full spectrum RSO, you're getting that entourage effect and you're getting a much better, well-rounded high. I talk to people in dispensary. Oh no, I don't do edibles. They get me way too high, and I end up just like gripping the couch at the end of the night. I'm like, okay, well, hey, maybe just try this. You know, I mean, it has everything that you need, because I mean, distillate is just stripped down to just all THC and very little minor cannabinoids. But when you take this, I mean, people come back and they're like, yo, like you were right. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't want to say I know, but like, you know, I've used our product many a times and I believe in it.
Yeah. And I love gummies. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I absolutely love gummies, but they're going to give you diabetes and cavities. Right?
Yeah.
So, and as far as if you're a medical patient, you may not want that extra sugar. And there's so many benefits to having a tincture. You know, if you're using it medicinally, do love a good gummy though. Like, dude, honestly, yeah. I love a good gummy. It's something about the perfect gummy. Maya from Ohm makes these amazing gummies. I just, you know, and like, it's the texture, it's the taste, it's the long lasting flavor on the end of your palate, you know, all those things. But you don't necessarily need those for the effect.
Yeah, you don't. And I love a good treat, right? I love Pete's Treats. They're they're little cookie bags. I mean, I'll cruise through some of those and I'll have a very fun, good night. You know, I always say, like, every product in a dispensary has its place. Everybody's got a cannabis tool belt, you know, like maybe somebody dabs more than others, but they're going to smoke a joint if it's around. They're going to take a tablet if they really want to take a smoking break and just give their lungs a rest. But like, there's something in a dispensary for every type of person. And I think that is kind of where we got our model from, is having a 1-to-1 CBD ratio in syringe, tablet, tincture, having a high CBD, this white CBG, but having something for everybody that they can go up. And, you know, like, diabetes is a real thing that a lot of people suffer from. Cavities are another real thing. And like, you don't have to get all that to get the effect that you're looking for with the tablet. I mean, it's just, there's 4 ingredients in our tablet and that's it.
Well, if you're diabetic, you don't eat sugar.
No.
That's just, that's one of the rules, right? That you should follow. So, you know, and there's nothing wrong with a good gummy, because, you know, it's just one of those things, but there's lanes for everybody. Like I was saying earlier, I feel like it's a great lane to be in because you don't really have competition on that level. You know, there's only a few other companies that are selling quality RSO in the United States even.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there is competition out there. We recognize it. We don't knock it. You know, I was just at the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce that Beard Bros put on.
Yeah.
And Jeff and Monica are great people. I've got a good working relationship with them.
Yeah.
Respect gets respect, right? We can't get to the place that we're at with our products without competition, right? Mm-hmm. Competition breeds a healthy business model, right? If you have no competition and you're just cruising at the same altitude all the time, you're going to make mistakes, or you're not going to diversify what you're doing, and you're not going to improve on your products because you're raking in the dough, right? Like, why change what works? But when you have competition, it leads you to be more strategic, more dynamic in your products. And competition is such a healthy thing in every aspect of every industry. And I'll go out and I'll try RSO. Am I biased because I've worked for Emerald Bay for so long? Sure, I'm not afraid to admit it. But there are companies out there that have the same passion and the same drive that we do that still produce a really good product.
Yeah. There's a few. But competition is good. Healthy competition is good. I feel like as long as it's not the race to the bottom model, that healthy competition is good. I mean, accessibility is the most important part of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The race to the bottom, every company falls into it. I mean, we try not to race to the bottom. We don't really discount our products a whole lot. We've never raised the price of our products. It's all stayed the same, even through all this crazy inflation that we've seen, all the tariffs. We want to make sure that the patients are heard and seen, and have access to it. And the accessibility for our products is huge for us. We want to be in every county, every city. I know that we might not be the best fit for every dispensary, but if we can have our place in at least one dispensary in every town and every region, like, we're going to set ourselves up for success. And that comes with the Compassion products. Like, we enable the sales team to start up Compassion programs with these dispensaries to be able to get patients access to free cannabis when they need it. And these are qualified patients, cancer, Crohn's. I mean, these are people that rely on it. And when they don't have to drive 20, 30 minutes to a dispensary that's like, maybe a county away, or maybe it's in a different city in LA and you're having to drive on the 405 and sit in traffic, there's something to be said about that. And people want to access it.
Right.
And having that access is huge for us. And when we were first starting out, I didn't know how big we were going to be and how many dispensaries would take us. And now we'll be at Hall of Flowers and dispensaries will come up to us. We want you on our shelves.
Yeah.
We don't even have to ask. We want you on our shelves.
That's the best.
Let's talk about it.
When the product speaks for itself, that's the best.
It is. It makes it so much easier to sell.
Yeah.
But it's still a sell, right? Budgets are tight in dispensaries. A wellness category isn't necessarily a big breadwinner for dispensaries. But if we can get in there with the right model and pitch to the right people, I mean, there have been dispensaries that were a little weary of picking us up, and they picked us up and suddenly we're their number one wellness product.
Yeah.
Surprised us all. Okay, well, this is awesome. They went to ordering X amount to Y amount in 3 months, and we've seen that jump. Okay, there's a market here for this. What else can we do?
Nice.
Yeah.
Who do you guys distribute through?
Self-distribution.
That's the best.
That is the best.
That is the best. If you can do it, if you can build an infrastructure and build a supply chain that has self-distribution, that's great. That's fantastic.
It's the best. I mean, it takes a lot of the headaches out, a lot of the questions out. Our drivers are knowledgeable on our products as well. So, I mean, if there's ever a question and they don't know,
you can ask the driver.
They can ask the driver. And, we brought on, we like to grow our employees within the company. I brought on a former driver, Paige, who is awesome. We brought her into the sales side, and she's been crushing it. Absolutely crushing it. We go to Hall of Flowers, and because she was a driver, all these inventory people are coming up, giving her hugs, saying hi to her. And this is because she has those relationships with these inventory managers, with these buyers that have seen her, and she's knowledgeable about our products. Being vertically integrated is the best option for people. But if you can't go vertically integrated, at least go self-distribution.
Yeah.
It's a headache to start, but once you find your groove, you just start going with it and it starts working itself out. And our drivers, they'll go up to Humboldt's one week, or they'll go all the way down to San Diego, and they love driving. They love meeting people. And yeah, we've tried with other distribution companies, and there's nothing wrong with them, with the exception of it takes a personality out of the sale, right? Because if a third-party distribution driver shows up, they're bringing in 10, 15 different products. They might not be knowledgeable, or they might not have, say, my number or somebody else on the sales team's number.
Yeah. Well, there's different distribution companies with different models. Some of them do the sales, some of them you do the sales. And there's nothing wrong with distribution companies. I think they're really beneficial for certain companies. But I think if you want to stay, mom and pop, and you want to have that craft feel, there's nothing wrong with distributing yourself. I feel like the more vertically integrated you are, the better it is for your company. The more money you can potentially make that you're saving, and then you can pass that savings on to your customers, And then everybody wins again.
Everybody wins again.
Yeah.
And yeah, self-distribution is the way to go. I see it all too often with companies. Look, there's nothing wrong with these distribution companies. They have, like you said,
they have their place.
They have their place. Everybody's got their place in their industry. But like for these smaller companies, being self-distributed is a great option to keep it personal, keep the money within the company and keep it flowing, and be able to divert some of these profits to different things that you want to do. Maybe you want to research a new product. Maybe you want to, get into clinical trials. It allows us to take some of these profits that we've made and divert it into something that we're passionate about.
Right. Really good stuff. So tell me more about yourself. How did you get started in this industry?
Yeah, it's been a crazy road for me. I started off in 2007. I did some light work with Americans for Safe Access, just on a volunteer basis. And then 2009, 2010, I had some buddies that were growing up in Trinity and did some growing up there. And man, that was 2-3 years worth of growing. And I ended up moving up to Tahoe for, I blinked and 12 years went by. But in 2019, I was kind of looking for a job. I'd quit. I was working in the golf industry and the ski and snowboard industry. And I was just kind of burnt out from it. Wasn't really going anywhere with it. And
you got to be that age.
I got to be that age, right? I was a ski bum for a long time, built terrain parks, hit big jumps, big rail lines. It was a lot of fun, but I got to that age where like, okay, I've got to make this decision. And I just come back from trimming with a buddy up in Trinity, and I came back and I was looking for jobs, and I found something. This is going to blow people's minds, on Craigslist of all places.
That's amazing.
Sell legal cannabis. And I was like, okay, I've been, doing closet grows and growing pretty much my whole life and selling to my friends. Why not try this out? So I interviewed with Thomas, and he offered me the position. And I told him, I was like, hey, let me just get 24 hours. Let me sit and think about this and mold it over. And at the last Christmas party, his wife Casey came up. She goes, Thomas thought you weren't going to take the job when you first started. And I goes, oh, really? I mean, I was locked into that. I wanted to do it. I talked with my brother who's been in sales. He goes, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to go back to the golf industry? You're already good at golf. Like, why not try something new? Yeah. Took a leap of faith, and here I am. I started off sales, and I still do sales to this day. I hold a bunch of accounts, probably around 100 now. Wow. And yeah, it's quite the load. But I've matured into this role of director of medical partnerships. Yeah. And when I took on this role from jumping from sales manager to director of medical partnerships, I didn't know what that was going to entail. Kind of started, like trying to get a hold of oncology doctors and some of these nurses. And I went to a conference, a medical cannabis conference, and I hit my stride. I met tons of researchers, met people from universities, and really hit the ground running with director of medical partnerships. We've got, research going on right now. We're diving into clinical trials here very soon. But meeting all of these nurses, clinicians, researchers, lab engineers, I mean, it has been the most eye-opening thing. I thought I knew a lot about cannabis until I stepped into this space. Now it's like every time I go to one of these conferences, I end up walking out like, wow, I really don't know as much as I thought I did, which is a humbling experience. And I've always had this firm belief, if you're not learning, you're losing. Yeah. Right? If you're not learning something about what you're doing for a passion, you're losing out. And being able to help these patients and give them access to free cannabis, or at least point them in the right direction to our products, has been a blessing. I mean, I always said, man, I got in so much trouble when I was in high school for like smoking weed, and I got like kicked out, whatever. But I always told myself, like, cannabis is going to be legal one day. I'm going to work in cannabis. And I'm living out my 16-year-old dream, 30 years later. And it's such a blessing to be in this industry, surrounded by people that have passion, being able to come on podcasts and talk about a company that I helped grow, that I've been passionate about. Every time every time I think about it, it just kind of gives me goosebumps about being in the cannabis space. And this is where I feel like I belong. It's such an amazing opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
This industry is great. And it's going to be good, and then it's going to be bad, and then it's going to be good again, and then it's going to be bad. And that's just throughout life. I feel like we go through these phases. Life and moments are fleeting. It just happens so fast.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle right now, but it's going to get better.
It's a struggle. And like, I think there are amazingly brilliant people within this industry on both sides of cannabis, and
some of the best and some of the smartest. And I mean, there's so many. I could just name 10 names off the top of my head of amazing people that are making the world a better place through this plant.
Yeah. And it's such a powerful space to be in. And like, we're so new, and yeah, we have our ups and downs, but if it's taught me anything, it's learn how to take one on the chin, right? And just keep pushing through, keep pushing for better, keep grinding it out, keep working for something better, keep that long-term goal in sight, and set yourself up for success. Keep setting attainable goals for yourself. In November last year, I set 3 goals for myself. I looked at my whiteboard in my office the other day, and I was able to check every single one of those goals off.
Nice.
And I surprised myself. And I keep thinking back, like, dude, you keep exceeding these goals that you set for yourself. Like, you are a go-getter. You can take one on the chin. You can roll with the punches. You can keep pushing. You can keep striving for something better. And there's no limit to what an individual can do when they're passionate about it. And passion is what breeds the most successful people, And yeah, the brilliance that I see around this industry. Obviously, Thomas, our co-founder, is hands down one of the most brilliant people. I have nothing but admiration for him, and we're the same age, and I look up to him. I ask him all sorts of questions, and we work well together. And it just goes to show that just because we're in the cannabis industry doesn't mean we're a bunch of stoners or burnouts or whatever, but we can have these brilliant ideas and bounce them off each other and work within ourselves and be able to let it shine. And it's really sad that, like, when people, I see it on LinkedIn all the time, is, oh man, I keep getting shut down. I'm looking for work outside of the industry and people keep shutting me down because I've worked in the cannabis industry. And I really wish some of these top businesses would recognize cannabis and these people in cannabis, that it is not an easy industry. Everything's always changing and evolving. The DCC makes a new regulation that you have to pivot and work around and make sure that everything works. And it breeds these people that are resilient and tough and gritty and can get through a lot of these hardships. And I think it's something that obviously every industry has these people, but we have these bright individuals that love the plant and love what they do. And I see it across every company. You meet them all the time, and it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, in our industry is special. I feel like we're pioneering this industry, and that's when all the magic happens, right? When people are pioneering, when it's an unstable industry, moving forward in an unstable industry, figuring things out, how the distribution chain is going to work, how products are going to be packaged, how joints are optimally smoked, right? Consumed. Is it better to have a straight bar, or is it better to have a cone, right? These things are all still debatable, right? Packaging, all these things, what's the best way to consume, right? And it's going to come down to mostly pre-rolls. Then it's going to be carts. So vape carts, pre-rolls. Medical side is definitely going to be like tinctures and tablets, right? Because I feel like medically that's something that doctors can get behind, where it's like, okay, we have an exact dose and we're going to have something that doesn't have sugar in it. It doesn't need to be fancy, And so these things are amazing. And then even on the genetic side, now we can go, okay, specific use cultivars, right? And we're just seeing that right now with people that are breeding for washers, right? Like breeding for washers, top shelf flower, but we're going to have stuff that's specifically made for biomass, specifically made for washing, specific for this, specific for that, specific use, chemotypes. And if this industry was fully established, all this stuff would be figured out already. And that's kind of what gets exciting for me. And also we're having these podcasts talking about all this stuff. And it's like, man, there's so much potential with this plant. and the industry is in its infancy, and it's like 10 years from now, a lot of these questions are going to be answered. We're going to have answers for them. Like, okay, what's the best drug for this type of cancer?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, okay, well, the best cannabinoid or cannabinoid combination or cannabinoid with this other drug, that's going to be the best combination for this specific type of cancer. Because not all cancers are the same.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different types of cancers. And I love the fact that we're pioneering all this and we're here watching it unfold. I mean, that's the beauty and the curse of it.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a beauty to watch it unfold. We work with Dr. Bonnie Goldstein. She sends us some of her patients, but we maintain a good relationship with her. But what she's doing for medical patients is incredible. And you're right. Like if 10 years down the road, 10 years is a very long time. I mean, we've only been in this industry legally since 2017 or 18. We can make this happen. We can get doctors behind this. We can find, like you said, the right chemovars for maybe the right cancer. We can't say for certainty that cannabis kills cancer, but it's showing promising effects. We've only been researching it. I mean, we've low-key been researching it since the 70s.
Sure.
But like this strong research has been coming alive in the last 5 years.
Well, and mostly thanks to Israel.
Yes.
Right. And if we look at where a lot of the research is done, it's in Israel, right? Like, I mean, I think there's other countries coming online doing their own research. We see it in the Netherlands. We're seeing it in other countries. The United States has been out because it's been federally illegal.
Yeah.
Right. But, we are doing low key research. There are universities that are doing some research, but it's not okay to legally do it yet. That's all going to change in the very near future. You could see it on the horizon. You could see it politically with what's going on with the THCA ban and all the stuff that's gone through Congress. And, I mean, these things all, we're unstable.
Yeah.
But it's going to stabilize and we're going to figure all these things out. And then we're going to have new conversations about the plant and of other things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's real interesting because there's a lot of uncertainty in the near future. Uncertainty scares people. But you look at a lot of these business owners, they get excited about uncertainty because they wouldn't be doing anything else.
Yeah. I thrive on the uncertainty.
Yeah.
I love a challenge. I love figuring out the uncertainty and how to navigate it.
Yeah.
I mean, we roll with it. You're right. 10 years down the road, we are in such an unstable time in this industry. And everybody's just got to chill, right? We got to put our brain caps on. We have to think strategically, think smart and long-term instead of just looking at the short-sightedness of things. Okay, we got to pump out a ton of products. We got to make X amount of money. We got to get this because we don't know if it's going to get taken away from us. If we pivot that and we start telling ourselves, okay, well, like, why can't we be the biggest voice and the biggest advocates for us? And we can make this happen. I see it in the hemp space. A lot of these small hemp providers, medicinal providers, these nurses, granted, I understand that they're nervous, they're uncertain, but like, let's thrive on that.
Yeah.
Let's thrive on that energy because, you're always, I read this the other day, is you're always going to hit your biggest change when everything feels uncertain, everything feels shaky. Why? Because you're going through something new. And if you don't embrace that change and that uncertainty, like, you're doomed to just fall back into the same routine. But if you embrace it and you say, okay, here's our challenges. How can we overcome this? Let's think strategically on this. We can get past this uncertainty and we can put ourselves in a position to be legitimized. And we are so close. We're on the precipice of it. And I hope that people really understand that we are so close to change. And while this hemp reform is going on, we have an opportunity to change it and maybe deschedule it or decriminalize it across the board and open up this plant. Because right now, the biggest challenge for clinical trials is getting an FDA approval for an investigative new drug.
Yeah.
And that is its own incredibly hard process. It's incredibly expensive.
Right.
But there are universities out there that are willing to take on this challenge. And if we can just keep our heads smooth and level, we can just really make a big impact. And I think we start at the patient, because if we make enough noise about the patients needing products to help them through these ailments, whatever it may be, we can make a big voice because nobody wants anybody to be in pain. I hope nobody ever wants anybody to be.
No, we just need more Sanjay Guptas behind us.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's part of it. Sanjay Gupta, what he did for CBD, showing kids, saying he was wrong, coming out, on 60 Minutes, coming out saying he was wrong. I think we need more Sanjay Guptas in the world, in the medical field that are like, no, this is medicine. This is medicine that people deserve to have access to.
Yeah, people deserve to have access to it. People deserve to have a quality of life.
Yeah.
And I really feel strongly about the quality of life. I watched my uncle. He was going through cancer treatment. Unfortunately, he didn't make it through. Smoking a joint one time, and he goes, "Kyle, this plant's going to be medicine. We're going to get it out to people. I promise you." And that was, 2005 or 4 or 5. And I was, a youngin'. Now that he's passed, I take that and I run with it. This is something that's passionate for me. And if we can get some of these people to admit, hey, maybe I didn't give CBD the right opportunity. I didn't give it the right look at it. I think people are open to receiving information and understanding this information. It's going to take us a long way in being a better option for people.
Totally. So let's talk about genetics. What do you like as far as you smoke?
Yeah.
What do you smoke? If you could smoke anything, what would that be?
Man, I kind of go back and forth. I love a good sativa strain.
Yeah.
I also love a good nighttime indica strain. I wish we could bring back skunky weed again.
Yeah.
I really feel like that was, and maybe I'm just, stuck in my ways of being an old school kid from Sonoma County. Like, we always had skunky herb growing up. And if we could bring back that kind of cannabis, it's going to make a difference.
That nose burning skunk where it's like, it's almost offensive.
Yeah. It's almost offensive. You walk into somebody's house, you're like, oh man, that smells good.
Yeah.
It's a good smelling skunk in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think, Skunk 101 is a great strain. I keep talking about ice cream cake, but I got some flour from Talking Trees and it was ice cream cake.
Yeah.
And I load that up and it is the best balanced high. It tastes good. You can smoke it. You can smoke a lot of it and not get too laid out from it.
Yeah.
But then again, a good sativa.
Yeah.
Love a good sativa.
Funny thing with ice cream cake, it's such a sleeper. People, connoisseur guys don't really talk about it that much. It makes great rosin.
Oh.
It's a great yielder. It's a good flower. It's a decent smoke. It's not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite. But I will tell you one thing. The clone got out everywhere. And so everyone in the Emerald Triangle, literally everybody in the Emerald Triangle was growing ice cream cake. Not everybody, but you know what I mean? Like a huge percentage were growing it one year. It's like we had Kush Mints one year. That ruined Kush Mints. And, it's like ice cream cake, same thing. It was everywhere. It was completely flooding the markets. And it's when the prices were low and it was making the prices lower. But as far as like quality, it's a good quality cultivar, right?
Yeah, it's a good quality cultivar.
Kush Mints too. Kush Mints is another one. I think Kush Mints is great. It's fine. It's not my favorite, but it's also something that I believe has value. And, the effect is good. It has great effect and it looks amazing grown in depths or outdoors. Both of those cultivars.
Yeah, that's a good point. What's your favorite strain?
Cat Piss.
Cat Piss
of all time. But you talk about like nose burning offensive.
Yes.
Cat Piss is my all-time favorite. But I like the candy paint and the candy fumes like lately. Some stuff that's been, OG Kush is making a comeback. I'm a huge fan of the OG.
Yeah.
I love a good OG, and I think it's all about diversity with me too, because I do love long flowering varieties. I love Sour Diesel's another one of my all-time favorites, right? And I can just go on telling you my experience with each one of these cultivars that, but Sour Diesel's a great one. I loved Sour Diesel. We were just talking about Jack Flash today with one of the guys that came in and nobody's seen Jack Flash for a long time. And I bumped into this guy and he knew my friend CJ. In fact, big shout out. He works, his name's Callie. He works at Grow Generation.
Okay.
And so he's from the area where I grew up, and the Pleasant Hill, Concord, Walnut Creek area. And we were talking about this guy, CJ Jones, that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And CJ, his mom and dad at the time grew the Jack Flash. And that Jack Flash was not like any Jack that you've ever seen. Most people see Jack and they think of terpinolene, limonene. Yeah. They think of that haze nose on it.
Yep.
And sometimes it has a nose burn, but it's kind of linear. But the Jack we used to get, and this Jack Flash, was extremely special. It was extremely complex nose, and I could smell it right now. Like if I had some in front of me, I'd say, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. And it was amazing. And it was also nose burning. Like It was nose burning loud, and they grew up perfectly. It was like these spongy buds that you could stick to the wall. I love so many different cultivars for different reasons, but I'm always curious about other people and what they like. And, it's like a good sativa. What would a good sativa be for you?
Ooh, XJ13.
Yeah. That's a winner for sure.
That hits the nose hard. And you open up a bag of XJ13 and you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I saw 7 Leaves had it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I opened it up and I was skeptical, and I opened it up and I was like, oh, yes, that is XJ. And I flew through that like it was wildfire.
That was a Jack Herrera times G13. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I'm pretty sure
I think
that
you're
was
right
the
on
fire.
That. Yeah.
Yep.
And then just favorite strains off the top. Chem Dog was always one of those ones. Yeah. Headband.
So was your headband a blend of, so there's different headbands out there. There was the one that was like sour and OG. Then there was one that was just OG. And then there was other ones that I've heard from different people, different things. But, I think those were the two. It was either the 50-50, like the 707.
Yeah, that's right? Exactly. The 707 headband was that sour OG cross.
Yeah.
It hit every mark for me. And you would open it up and you're just like, yes. And you couldn't wait to break it up. And you're breaking it up and the trichromes are sticking to your fingers. You're having trouble breaking it up. You're like, is this even going to fit in a joint? And you're starting to roll it up and you're like, oh yeah. And as soon as you light it, you get that just fresh, almost florally taste with it and then you get that pining afterburn that just like kind of sits there for you.
Tastes like pine needles on your palate, where it's like that long finish. Yeah. And I love the cultivars with the long finish, right? So and that has a lot to do with how it's grown too. It's not just the variety or the cultivar. It's not just that. It's how it's grown, the love that was put into it. It's all those little details. And then it's that long finish. There's something special when you exhale and you're down to the roach, you're still exhaling. That's why Skittles is special, right?
Yeah.
Skittles has that, where it's like, man, good grown, quality grown Skittles. When you exhale, it still tastes amazing if you light the roach up 2 days later.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. Oh man, I'm just being flooded with all the memories from like 2006 to 2010, where I feel like strains started making a huge popular breakout into the 215 area, because I've had my medical card since I was 18. Used to go to Peace and Medicine. Jilly Bean. Jilly Bean was my all-time favorite strain. Shout out to Subcool. Unfortunately, that strain's no longer.
No, Jill's making a comeback. She's selling seeds. Yeah, she's selling seeds with crosses, the Jilly Bean crosses, and doing some stuff. So she's rocking the Jilly Bean again, I believe.
Love to hear it.
Cindy 99 was another good one from back in the day. But I also love the throwback strains that are coming out. Blue Dreams become popular again. It never really went away. Like Blue Dreams always kind of been popular, but it's making this big comeback. Tenko has cheese. Ooh. They have Chizu, which is like a cheese Skittles cross.
Yeah.
And then they're bringing back like that old school European, like foul nose, like cheese, like definitely offensive, like, but it's got that flavor. Yeah. And it's like, I love when people are bringing back stuff that I had some relation to when I was younger.
Yeah.
Whether it's cat piss, I want to see the ammonia again. Like I would love to see that ammonia. I've yet to see the ammonia. Everyone talks big game, but like when it comes down to it, the cat piss is gone. The real roadkill skunk. We never called it roadkill.
Yeah.
I have one guy, shout out to Jer. He's going to be on the show. He claims to have bred some skunk that he found in my autoflowers, and he stabilized the trait. I would love to see it. I'm excited. Show me the money. At the end of the day, show me the money. Let's see these things. But all these older things, NL5, I got some NL5 this year.
Whoa.
I believe Mocha is the brand. And they had some real NL5 that was like the NL5 that I remember when I was younger.
Yeah.
And it's like some of these, and even like Tangy, you don't see Tangy a lot. I love when seeing, like, I'll smoke some good Tangy right now.
Yeah.
Agent Orange, that was sub cool. That'd be another good one. Cherry Cola, I haven't seen that in forever. I love the Cherry Cola that Sub Cool used to have. That won some cups.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I believe Sub won with those, but I think Shane was one of the ones who showed me one of the Cherry Cola Phenos, and it smelled and tasted just like Cherry Cola.
The Agent Orange was amazing.
Yeah.
I got some seeds back before Sub passed away.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're somewhere hidden in a box, but I popped them, kind of pheno hunted in my tent for a while, and I found a good one. And I mean, I cloned it and cloned it and cloned it. I had about 4 or 5 good runs with it.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get off of it. It was just like you break that bud open and you're flooded with a citrus smell, and then just offsetted by this like and this was before like gassy terps were a thing, but like you'd smell that kind of gas behind that orange, and it just kind of lit up your nose and just, it made me excited for it.
Yeah.
And another one that I really liked was 9 Pound Hammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that 9 Pound Hammer, I mean, that was some of the densest, highest yielding flower that I've had, I think, ever. I mean, the trichomes on that thing were just unmistakable.
9 Pound Hammer with the trichomes, dude. That was fire.
Yeah.
Who bred 9 Pound Hammer? It was one of Sub's guys.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't.
Jinx proof.
Yeah.
It was a Jinx strain. That was one of Jinx's. In fact, Jinx called me up because somebody had accused me of selling his 9 Pound Hammer on my website, which we've never sold clones of his 9 Pound Hammer on my website. And that's a weird thing when people like try to hit you up saying you can't sell this, you can't sell that, man. If I got it, from honest means and, whatever, what I mean? Like selling clones on the website, it's like, I sell other people's clones on my website too. I sell my stuff. I sell other people's stuff. We go direct to consumer with clones. We're crushing it right now. Thanks guys for support. Guys that watch the podcast have been buying the clones. It's been keeping us alive.
Yeah.
Like it's been really keeping us alive. The clone sales have been great. I think after the Congress snuck that farm bill piece in, all of a sudden clone sales and seed sales are going crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that's just going to happen for the next year. I don't think it's going to affect us like people think it is. There's a lot of people freaking out, but it's going to be okay, guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. I think the biggest thing that they did with this farm bill that helped everybody out was the year, right?
Yeah.
Giving everybody a year to figure it out. I think we can get ourselves in a good position. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much on the genetic side or breeding, but I imagine it's got to be.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I work on the state level too. So
cool.
I work with some companies in California, Washington. I work with a couple companies up there. I'm not worried about it, and I'm also an international guy. So there's international plays like for genetics and everything else. They're not going to take away seeds and seed sales. They're not going to be able to give you. They're not going to say, man, these seeds. They're going to create a 22% THC plant. They can't do that.
They can't.
Right. So testing and going around and figuring out the source of the parents, right? Because people can say anything about anything, and proving it is a whole nother thing. So really enforcement is going to be a huge issue with seeds and clones, especially clones, because they basically don't test hot until after you grow them out, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with seeds. You can't really test a seed. It's non-detect for THC. And we'll see how that goes. You can test ratios, and we can start looking at ratios and stuff like that. But as far as most of the stuff is under the 0.3% threshold.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we made it through 90 years of prohibition and, making genetics happen, even in a time where it's still Schedule 1, but before adult use came around, I was still getting seed packs from seed banks and getting clones from other means. Is it going to go away? No. And you make a very good point of like, it is impossible to test these seeds for a measurable amount of THC. And it's impossible to say whether the seed is going to produce X amount of Delta 9 THC without having it popped and grown to its full
or even
potential.
THCA.
Yeah,
right?
or even THCA.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the enforcement is very, very, very difficult. They could go after the growers, people growing the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then there could be potential liability on the people selling the seeds. But that's, I think we're trying to get too far ahead instead of looking at the facts. And it's like, this has been going on forever. Are you going to stop doing it? I doubt it.
Yeah.
Right? Is it going to change things? I doubt it. It'll change things for certain people, 100%.
Yeah.
Right. But these are things that never should have gone through anyway. There's a reason they're calling it a loophole, because it was a loophole.
It was a loophole and they exploited it.
Yeah. It fully got exploited by certain people.
Yeah.
So, and it is what it is. I think now we can look at, and I also believe in access, right? So that's the other thing, is like, I'm not such a fan of us going backwards, right? I think we need to go forwards. I think accessibility is great. Having accessibility in places like Texas where people can get THCA, that's a freaking amazing thing. I never thought that would happen. Right?
That's wild, right?
Yeah. I mean, in Texas has more smoke shops, places or access points where you can buy THCA than California has dispensaries.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild to think about. Yeah. And if we start getting into this conversation of legality and access, like, there should be access for everybody to get something, right? But when we're talking about synthetically derived cannabinoids, that brings on a whole new talk, right? THCP. I mean, it can keep people high for, what I've read, up to 72 hours. Like, we don't know the long-term effects of that, but we do know the long-term effects of THCA and THC. I mean, there's so much research to be done, and the accessibility for people. I have people reach out from some of these, states like Texas or, Tennessee was one of them, but reaching out, how can we get your products? And I have to unfortunately tell them, like, hey, we are only access through California if you're able to get through California. And I can't tell them that they can bring it back, but they can definitely pick it up there.
Yeah.
You should have access to everything.
Well, I think the biggest thing is people should have access to clean medicine, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with hemp right now, a lot of hemp, not all hemp and not all companies, because there's some good people. There's some good people doing the Lord's work that are actually testing their stuff properly, not putting out bad products. But there's less oversight, and there needs to be oversight. We need to make sure that good products are getting on the market and we're not poisoning people. Because the thing is we have a chance to, in an opportunity. Each one of us has an opportunity to make this world a better place or a worse place, right? And so confronted with the opportunity to make money, now it's like, can you combine those two things to where you can not only make the world a better place, but make a decent amount of money along with it, right? And so there has to be alignment there, because right now, a lot of those THCA products, we don't know what's in those. You don't know as much as far as compared to California. And if we're talking about rec and adult use, we know what's going in most of the products, right? I think other than maybe some shit labs that are going away, we know what's in the products, right? So there's that.
Yeah, and we know what's going in the products. And like we talked before, if we have a COA, like a standardization of testing practices, I mean, there's no reason why anybody can't adhere to these practices and make a good product. I think Dr. Dustin Sulak makes a really good product with his healer. I think, there's a lot of nurses and a lot of people in the hemp industry that make a good product, but they're being overshadowed by these bad actors. And regulation is, and I hate saying it because regulation needs to happen. I think if
on some level, for sure.
On some level, right? Do we need to be told how to do everything? No, but I think a standardization of regulations is needed, because if you were to put an organic strawberry through the same cannabis testing and the same rigorous testing schedule or testing practices that cannabis has in California, that organic strawberry might not necessarily pass.
Right.
I think that's something to be said. An organic strawberry couldn't necessarily pass a cannabis COA.
Right.
That's wild to me.
Heavy metals.
Right. Overspray from pesticides.
Yeah. There's two sides to the coin for sure, right? You look at Oregon and what they were trying to do, then they were trying to basically test for aspergillus, which would have put most of the outdoor farmers out of business.
Yeah.
It's like, so there has to be balance, and there has to be good people writing the laws and having things go through that make sense, right? There has to be common sense involved with everything that we do.
Yeah. I think common sense is not so common these days.
Sure.
But I think in our respective industries, we have a lot of people that use a lot of good common sense and a lot of good business practices. And if we're invited in as operators to help write these bills, it could set us apart from other industries. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know how the alcohol and tobacco industry goes, but I'm sure that they have some say in their regulations because they have X amount of money to lobby for it, right? And like, it all comes down to money, man. And unfortunately, money rules the world, and us cannabis operators are struggling right now. I think we're in a good position with our company. We've kept it streamlined, we've kept it tight, and we understand how to do things. But there's other operators that, if we can pool our money together, we can probably get some good lobbying going. But we got to join forces. That's the biggest thing.
Well, we got to get on the same page.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing and that takes a stable market, right? And that takes success, right? So we have the successful people that aren't just about money, that see the bigger picture. And there's people out there. There's companies out there. There's brands out there.
Yeah.
They're not all bad. Even the big ones aren't all bad.
Yeah. I don't think the big ones are all that bad. I work with a lot of some
of them are, and some of them are not. Right?
Yeah,
so
and that goes with anything, though,
absolutely.
Right? Like anybody can be a bad operator. I think, forgive me for being the forever optimist here, but I think most people in this industry want to be a good operator. They want to produce a product that is good, clean, consistent, that people want to pick up, all the way down to the cultivators. Even somebody that's growing for like a white label product, like I might be out of place saying this, but I would be remiss if like there is a passionate small grower out there that doesn't care about quality.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met so many growers in my life, and that's all they talk about is how good their crop came out.
Yeah.
How good this is, how good they did on this. Oh man, I kind of messed up this yield, but next year's to try to get this out. And like, they keep trying to push for better. And I think that's like the way to go. Yeah. I think these smaller operators are really getting squeezed right now, but like, we actively try to help them. We try to get on their side and be able to, hey, what do you need for this? How can we help me help you?
Yeah.
I can be there for you. I can help. I can come in for an in-store demo. Like, I'm not afraid. Like, I'm never above going into a store and doing a demo and educating the staff while I'm doing it, educating people, getting people to buy our products, or, gassing up the team, bringing them, lunch or something. But yeah, I think it's on us to like just really support each other, and like, support's going to go a long way.
Yeah.
And if we continue like supporting each other and making sure to like reach down and pull somebody up, I think that is a big opportunity in the cannabis space for us to make a big difference. Is, maybe we see a cultivator that has really good product, but kind of like needs some help. Cool. I'll like, granted, I might not have a whole lot of throw out there, but I'll throw it out to some of my good buddies that are buyers out there. And hey, like, have you tried this person? Would you be interested in them sending you a sample pack to try out? And oftentimes you're like, yeah, man, I'll try it out and see if it's good enough. And I mean, that's just reaching down and helping people out. Each one teach one about an industry. I think that's something that's important that gets kind of lost these days.
Nice.
Because people just get selfishness, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So if you had one piece of advice for your younger self, what would that one piece of advice be?
I say this to myself every day, and this is a quote from Chadwick Boseman, is the struggles you face along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. I think in my life, I've made mistakes that I thought at the time were detrimental, that were, hard to deal with, but it shaped me as a person that I am, and it built me to who I am. And when we embrace these struggles, when we embrace these hard times, and we don't wallow in our own self-pity, and we rise above everything that's going on, we learn so much about ourselves. So yeah, the struggles we face along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. That is a quote that I live by. I stand by. I tell myself when times get tough, I just repeat it to myself.
It's the mantra.
It's the mantra.
Nice.
It's on replay in my head.
Nice. So if people are looking to find out more about you or your company, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, best place to go is emeraldbayextracts.com. We've got a ton of resources on there, articles written. You can find out all about our products. There's an info line that they can reach out to. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on there. Feel free to reach out with any questions. I'm always happy to chat with people. I believe networking is the key to success. So reach out to us at www.emeraldbayextracts.com or on our LinkedIn or my personal LinkedIn. We're always happy to chat with you.
How about socials?
At Emerald Bay Extracts on Instagram, and I believe we have a Facebook of Emerald Bay Extracts. And LinkedIn, Emerald Bay Extracts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been a great show. Look forward to talking to you guys again. Maybe we'll do a review show with your products.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you guys very much for your support. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below.